you look at the news today, things look pretty grim. We see about natural disasters everywhere. We see about wars and rumors of wars, which is sounding a little bit familiar if we know our Bible a bit. And it's easy to start to get panicked about what's happening today, what's coming down the future. We look at the Bible and we see talk about the end of the age and what it's going to be like, and the war and the trouble and the global impact of the different things that are happening in small part now, but that we know will be happening in a large part in the future. So I'm going to talk today about how to look at the end times without freaking out. To start with, let's remember that when Jesus talked to his disciples shortly before he went to the cross, he told them about some pretty heavy stuff. He talked about how he was going to be killed, for one, which was not a very pleasant topic. He told them that people would be persecuting them, people would kill them, thinking that they were doing God a service. So Jesus is basically telling them, hey, the world hated me. Of course the world's going to hate you. Things are going to get really bad. But I have told you these things that you may have peace. Okay, peace, right. Trouble, the world going crazy, people trying to kill me. I feel real peaceful about that, Jesus, thanks. But it's important to see that as we look at prophecies about the end of the age, that we take them on board with that attitude that Jesus presented to the disciples. I have told you these things that you may have peace. If you think about a weather report, if there's a tornado warning in your area, you don't want the weatherman to say, chance of rain. You want to know if you need to bunker down in the basement. If there's a chance of damaging hail, you don't want the weatherman to say, there might be some adverse weather later. You need to know, I want to get a quilt over my car. I want to get my car in the garage, because these are the kind of things that can actually help you prepare so that the bad weather is not quite so bad for you. When the Lord tells us about the events at the end of the age, it's a lot the same sort of reason. He wants us to be prepared. He doesn't want us to hit the trouble that's coming and not have any idea what we were in for, and not have any idea what we were signing up to do. So with his warnings, with his prophecies, even about where things are going to be getting really, really bad, we can know this is coming. We can prepare our hearts. It won't be a shock to us when it happens. The disciples didn't panic when they found out, oh no, the Pharisees don't like us. They actually rejoiced when they were persecuted, because they were counted worthy to suffer for the kingdom, because they took Jesus' warnings on board. So firstly, the point that we know what's coming, we can actually prepare for it. We won't be surprised, we won't be shocked, we won't be offended. Secondly, we want to look at how the end of the age is not all doom and gloom. The way we're used to talking about it, it's presented as this really awful thing that we sure hope Jesus comes back before it happens. We all get raptured off the planet, and the rest of the world gets to suffer through all of the nasty stuff, and we go, phew, glad I had my reservation to heaven all booked and I got away from this. And this can lead us to a kind of escapist idea about the end of the age, where the church gets taken out of the way. Everything is awful in every way for 7 years. If you miss the rapture, good luck. Stinks to be you. But the rest of us, will be sitting pretty in heaven going, I'm glad that's not me. And we think of the end of the age as being 100% trouble. Whereas if we actually look at what the Bible says about the end of the age, yes, there's trouble. There is great trouble. There's trouble like the world has never seen. But we see prophecies about the Spirit being poured out on all flesh, sons and daughters prophesying. We see prophecies about a great harvest coming in. That means people are getting saved. We know of at least 2 people in Jerusalem who have this divine protection over them. They're called the 2 witnesses. where Satan and his armies and the Antichrist cannot touch them for 3.5 years as they're prophesying right in the Antichrist headquarters, which means that God isn't leaving his saints to our own devices. There is some measure of divine protection that is taking place. So we can see that even as things are getting bad, even as it will be hard, and we don't want to act like it won't be, we see that there will be a great salvation across the earth. We see that the church is going to be moving in prophecy to a degree that we've never seen. We see that at least with 2 witnesses, and probably with more people than that, we're going to see the power of God moving on the earth. The Great Tribulation is not the Lord forsaking the planet. It is the Lord preparing the planet for the return of Christ. And it's a terrible time, but it's also a glorious time. And so we don't have to dread having to endure it, because it's not something we do on our own, and it's not something that is pure doom and gloom and bad news. Like, there are things to look forward to about the end of the age. Thirdly, we need to know what the end of the age is for. What's it about? Is this just a matter of God has had it up to here with everyone being sinful and wicked, and now it's just time to end it all? Or is there a greater purpose at work? Well, if we start to get familiar with God's promises about the end of the age, with the prophecies and the warnings, we see that among the other things that are going to happen, the church is going to get purified. We see that Israel is going to get saved. And this is so exciting, because we're talking about literally 4,000 years of history plus, where God has been working with this one people to win them, to claim them for his own. And in that long millennia of waiting, he has been so patient and worked so much to bring forth his promises to that people. And he's going to get what he wants. That is so exciting to me. Thirdly, we can see that through the end of the age, through Jesus coming back, this is unto Jesus establishing a kingdom of righteousness and peace on the earth. I mean, can you imagine a time on this planet where there's a government that actually works? Can you imagine where there's a time on this planet where the poor don't get trampled on every day by the rich? Can you imagine a time where nobody's overlooked, nobody's marginalized, nobody loses out on justice because of what they look like or their background or their parents? It's amazing to think about and to look forward to the day where Jesus really truly makes all the wrong things right. Everything that we're groaning about now, everything that we come to the Lord in prayer going, this is so hard, this is so bad. I turn on the news and there's war and there's murder and there's killing and famine and disasters happening all over the earth. Lord, are you going to do something about this? And his answer is, yes, he is. And so as we look at the end times, it's not just bad stuff happening to make people sorry that they were wicked. It is actually unto a complete restoration and transformation of the earth. There's a lot more to be said about the topic of the end times, and we're going to revisit this in the future. But I want to start getting that into our dialogue, because the world has hit a place where we're not going back to how things used to be. I don't think it's likely that the amount of violence and tension and natural event, like weather events, famines, different storms and earthquakes, that's not really going to lessen in the days to come. But even as we're looking at it and looking beyond it unto a day where there's going to be great trouble on the earth, we don't have to be troubled. We don't have to be scared. We're not looking at this through the eyes of a hapless bystander who just has to suffer with the world for reasons we don't understand. We know that the God who's doing it is good, and he is kind, and he is just. We know that there are specific reasons that he is leading the earth in the way he is. And we know that he has told us of things ahead of time so that we can have peace. So, wanting to get that topic on the table, we can talk about it more in the weeks to come, and we will. And please post any questions in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you next week.